Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Emix Radio. I have my co-host.
What's going on, everybody?
Jason Morales. Today we will talk about the 4th of July weekend. Hope you guys had a great one. It is, our nation's Independence Day, and, it's a very important day for all of us here. So once again, hope you guys had a great one. Talking to my co-host Jason here, he told me he had a little bit of a bad experience. So Jason, I want to hear all about it.
It was an exciting weekend to say the least. Every year we get a party going at my mom and dad's house, and it's a barbecue. We do a big thing usually. A lot of our family has kind of moved away to different states, so we don't get everybody together like we used to. But we still have a good gathering, and we've accumulated a lot of close friends that have become family now over the years, and so we do it together. Barbecue, games. We play. I don't know if you ever played cornhole.
No.
Have you heard of it?
No, I never heard of it.
It's a game we picked up going to tailgating. Basically, you've got two boards. They're probably like 3-foot boards on a kickstand with a hole, and you throw these bean bags, and you're about like 10 feet away, and you try to throw it into. So it's just fun. It's really more of a drinking game, or at least we turned it into that.
I've actually seen that. I've seen the game. So.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, people call it bags. People call it. There's different names I've heard for it, but cornhole seems to be the more common one. Although I think that name probably came from the Midwest or the South or something like that.
For sure.
So everybody's getting there. We're having a great time. We had a bunch of fireworks there. It's getting towards the evening time, so everybody's getting ready for the fireworks show. And my parents live in an unincorporated part of Whittier, and we've been doing fireworks for at least in that area. Well, we used to live about a block away, so it's definitely within the same unincorporated part of Whittier, and we've been doing fireworks there since since I was 7 years old, so we're talking like 1989, 1988, something like that. So it's been over 20 years, and so we're doing fireworks just like usual, and so we started the fireworks. We're doing the fireworks show, and our neighbor across the street has about a 50 to 60 foot tall palm tree. So we know all of a sudden somebody noticed that there was a spark up in the tree, or an ember. And next thing you know, there was all this dry brush. The guy hadn't maintained his palm tree, and this thing went up just poof. It was just unbelievable. So obviously, panic ensues. There's a tree on fire right across the street. Pull the hose out. We're trying to hose it off. It's about a 50, 60-foot palm, and this is up near the top, so the hose isn't going to reach. And again, it's so dry. We've had a drought here in Southern California, which everybody knows. So and there's a lot of dry brush because it hasn't been trimmed. So it's going up fast. So we go across the street. We're trying to pound on the neighbor's door to see if they're home, to try to get them out of the house. They're not answering. We grab their garden hose and we start hosing off. So I grab the hose and I'm wetting off their garage because there's like pieces falling on their garage. So I'm trying to hose it off to make sure that it doesn't catch on fire. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the first priority I'm thinking of. And apparently everybody's yelling at me from across the street to get out of there because there's pieces of, I've got my eye up on the palm because I'm hosing it, watching it at the same time. And a couple of pieces fell down, but I just hosed them off to make sure the grass didn't catch on fire too. Luckily, there was some of the local county sheriffs that were nearby. They were on the scene really quick. Unfortunately, they didn't let me continue to, I guess, try to save the house, for lack of a better word. So they ended up pulling me out. But the fire department showed up shortly thereafter, and we were very fortunate. Everything turned out okay. Basically all there was there was a burnt tree. The tree didn't burn down. It didn't fall over, which is great. The house didn't catch on fire. There was no damage to the roof. We actually were up at about 7:30 the next morning, just kind of helping out the neighbor up on the roof, cleaning it up. And in the fire department, basically, so he's got a couple of dead spots on the lawn and a tree that, that's going to have to come down. But it was exciting, to say the least, being that, we've never had an incident like that. We've always had, really safe, you know, for maybe somebody gets a rogue sparkler that might catch somebody for a little burn. But this was exciting to say the least. So it definitely put a damper on the evening. That was all the fireworks for the night. We didn't feel like doing fireworks much more after that. But that was our 4th of July this year. It was intense.
Yeah, I bet, man. That's a fireworks show on its own.
Right, definitely. And that was the thing. I mean, we had people for the next, I was over there helping my parents clean up, the next day, so a lot of the debris and stuff that was in the street. And there were people just driving by all day, breaking their necks to look up at the palm tree to see what had happened. And I never paid attention to it before, but you could, it being such a tall palm tree, it's the tallest one in the area. You could see it from, a good block or two away. So I imagine when that thing's lit in the middle of the night, it was definitely quite a show. Yeah.
All right. So here's my question: was it you guys? Did you guys have illegal fireworks that started that, or it was?
That's the thing. We don't know what started because we didn't notice it. Just all of a sudden, it was like poof, it caught. So it to be honest with you, we don't know. It could have been one of ours, but there was a ton of fireworks going on around us. So and that's what we told the sheriffs. We're like, look, we don't know if it was ours or not. If it was one of our fireworks, we don't know, but we're trying to, do the right thing and help. And it turned out the neighbor was home the whole time. He was in his back room watching a movie, and
he didn't hear the pounding?
He didn't hear it. He just thought it was the fireworks. And the only reason he saw what was going on, he got up to go to the kitchen to get a piece of cake, and he saw there was a bunch of, lights flashing outside. He came out to see what was going on, and then of course, the shock value was probably just priceless for
I
for
can
him.
imagine. He probably freaked out.
Now, how was your 4th? I don't imagine it was as exciting, but safe at least, I hope.
It was definitely safe. I'm going to make a confession right here on Emix Radio. This is the first time in my entire life that I celebrate the 4th of July.
First time.
So
yeah. What prompted you to finally celebrate?
Okay, so as you know, I'm Mexican, and I was born in Mexico.
Really? I swore you're Japanese.
Does my face
I swore you're Japanese this whole time.
I was born in Mexico, so when we came over here, we appreciate the country. Nothing against the country. It's just, it's not our home country, so the 4th of July didn't really have a significance for us.
But I imagine you celebrate Cinco de Mayo.
Not Cinco de Mayo, man. That's not the Mexican.
I know it's like the Mexican Independence Day.
Cinco de Mayo, it's a battle that was won in Mexico.
Right.
But they didn't win the war.
Okay.
So Mexicans don't celebrate Cinco de Mayo.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. It's just another excuse for Americans to drink.
Exactly. Yeah, it has become an American holiday. We celebrate September 15th.
Okay.
That's the Mexican Independence Day.
Okay.
But anyways, that's besides the point. We appreciate the country. We love the country. It just never dawned on us to we should celebrate the 4th of July. It's not our independence. It's
right.
Americans' independence.
Right.
And what prompted us to celebrate 4th of July? Well, I was helping out at church.
Okay.
And we received a box of free fireworks.
Okay, for helping out?
For helping out.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we got some free fireworks, and I got home, and I told my family, hey, we should start a tradition here. And sure enough, my entire family went outside, and we started lighting up fireworks, and it was the most fun I've ever had on a 4th of July.
Excellent. That is definitely excellent. That's why we keep doing it year after year, because it is a lot of fun to set stuff on fire.
Yeah, it's really funny because,
I'm usually not trees, but...
right?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because, I'm 29 years old. I've never lit up a firework.
Okay.
So it was kind of like a very, I'm trying to man up experience. Not wanting to do it, but having to do it anyways.
Right.
And the same goes for my brother. My brother's never lit up a firework in his life.
Okay.
So we're all taking turns lighting the fireworks. Like, all right, man, we got to do this. We got to do this. And sure enough, it was a lot of fun, man.
And nobody got burnt?
Nobody got burned.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
My dad was trying he was just trying to put a whole bunch of fireworks together.
Okay.
And lighting them all up at the same time.
Right.
I'm not sure what they're called. I believe they're cherry bombs.
Okay. Well, cherry bombs are definitely not legal.
Then they're not. They're
so
not
I
cherry
don't
bombs.
think they were cherry bombs.
They look like cherries.
Okay.
They just made a sparkling, like a strobe.
Okay.
Effect.
Right.
And there was a lot of them in one bag.
Uh-huh.
and my dad was tying them all up.
Okay.
You know, just lighting them up, and it was a lot of fun. There were a lot of illegal fireworks in our house.
In your house? Or
In our block, sorry.
on your block, yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of tripped me out because when you were telling your story, I thought, well, you know, that's kind of like why things like that happen, you know?
Right.
Like they're illegal for a reason.
Right.
But did you light up any illegal fireworks?
Oh, we did not.
You did?
We did not. Yeah, not to my knowledge. I was not the one lighting fireworks.
Or is that something you can't admit?
I was not lighting the fireworks that evening, so I could not say if any of them were illegal or not. I didn't see what we had, so I couldn't say for certain.
For sure.
But definitely, I mean, same thing in our area. You know, there's fireworks that are going on. I mean, all over. I mean, after the police and the firemen left, I mean, 4 or 5 houses down the block, they started shooting off, you know, the illegal fireworks. Now, we have done them in the past. I will admit, we definitely have done them in the past, and they are a lot of fun. But I think definitely after this encounter, you know, I don't think we'll be going back to the illegal stuff again. And because you never know. I mean, you never know what could happen. Like you said, they are illegal for a reason.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was remembering a time where it was a long time ago. My cousin bought some fireworks, and he came back from TJ, and you know, he bought some illegal fireworks, and one of them was I guess it was a part of a bomb or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know what it's called. M80. Does that sound?
M80, yeah.
Yeah,
I've heard of those. Yeah.
And we lit that up, and the explosion was like dramatic, man. It was
Right.
like, geez, we're in a war zone.
It's like a small stick of dynamite, is what it is.
Yeah, and it was cool. It was definitely cool. But he had other ones, and you know, he had some of the ones that go up to the sky and blow up in the sky, and we lit that up, and the container that we had it in, I guess because of the flare of the flame or whatever it was, caused it to tumble over, so the firework went straight into the street under a car.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we were panicking. Luckily, nothing happened.
Right.
But I keep remembering that, like, oh, that's exactly why fireworks are illegal. Like, well, illegal fireworks are illegal because those are the instances that create the people burning themselves, losing limbs, and houses burning down.
And I think a lot of times, you know, people are very cautious when it comes to that. I know when we've had fireworks like that in the past, you know, we've always used extreme caution. I've been to other people's fireworks shows where they've had, you know, illegal fireworks, and again, you know, it's not if somebody's wasted and trying to light fireworks, they usually tell the guy to go have a seat and just watch the show because, you know, they don't want anybody getting hurt. I think usually where it comes across the problem is a manufacturer error or something like that, where, you know, something doesn't perform as it's intended to, and that's when you get, you know, a malfunction or a fire or somebody getting hurt. So again, we were very fortunate; nobody got hurt. But
and the thing with those, you can't go ask for a refund either.
Right, exactly, definitely cannot.
Or sue the manufacturer. There's really nothing you can do.
No, there's nothing you could do. But it almost seems, I mean, it really does seem that the fireworks aren't illegal just because of how many people have them. I mean, you get people lighting them for, you know, up to 2 and 3 weeks before the 4th of July. You know, you hear them go off from time to time, and, you know, people get them early, and it's, so it doesn't seem so uncommon. It almost seems, you know, legal. So I think it's very easy to forget how illegal the fireworks are.
Yeah, there's a meme going around Facebook that makes a statement like, the 4th of July is the greatest guessing game. You get to guess whether it's a firework or a gunshot.
Right.
And that's true, man. The illegal fireworks, well, actually all fireworks make noise, obviously.
Right.
But there's some that just go up in the air and blow up, and they sound so much like gunshots.
And you know what's funny too is that the sheriffs that had come by, you know, to help out and stuff like that. We actually found out that they said they drove by our street earlier while we were setting off fireworks, but they didn't bother with us. They just left us alone.
Oh, wow.
And so actually any fireworks at all, we found out we didn't know, because we thought, you know, again, it's an unincorporated part of the city. We thought we were okay to have fireworks, and they told us actually no. So we actually did end up getting a citation because of that, because we can't have, you know, any fireworks at all.
Oh, really?
Legal or illegal. In that part of the city where my parents live, which we never knew. Again, we've been lighting fireworks there for over 20 years, and again, the sheriffs even said they drove by, they saw us lighting fireworks, and they didn't stop and say anything. So,
yeah, I've actually.
So it was just interesting that they didn't try to stop us. I mean, it was
There's
they're kind of pick and choosing their battles. They said they kind of look at the block parties, and if there's a lot of people and it looks like it might be potential dangerous, then they'll go in and shut it down. So, but they definitely have to pick and choose their battles because there's so many people lighting them.
So, what do you think about Downey? There was if anybody was caught with illegal fireworks, they would be giving a $2,000 citation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, man? Like, is that fair or unfair?
I mean, if they're given the notification, people know they're illegal, and I think everybody every year when they get them, they know they're taking a chance. When we've had them in the past, we knew we were taking a chance if we get a citation. But everybody's kind of the opinion, well, everybody will just kind of chip in and pay the fine, so it's not as extreme. But I think the penalties are absolutely fair. Again, I think even if we got a citation again for legal fireworks but even if had we been cited for illegal fireworks, I mean, I'm not going to argue or complain about it because you're illegal when you're getting them. There's a reason why you have to go out of state to purchase them, or you got to purchase them from somebody's garage, from
or Tijuana,
yeah, or wherever. You got to go out of the state or out of the country to get them. So it's blatantly obvious when you're buying them. You know what you're getting. So for the fines, I think they're fair. They're trying to deter people from using them. Obviously, enough people have been hurt in the past, and we're in an area where there's a lot of dry, chaparral, for lack of a better sense, but there's a lot of dry, plants and bushes and stuff like that. And especially right now, we're in the middle of a huge drought. Even in rainy times, there's still a lot of just dry brush around that'll catch really easily. Even the roofs. We're lucky. The fire that went off in the tree in the neighbor's house with us, had it been the house next door, they had, I guess, what is called a shaker roof, and basically the shingles on the roof are just made of like dry wood. Well, they're made of wood, but nobody waters it, so it just gets dry over time. I mean, that thing would have went up real quick. I mean, that would have been bad. So again, there's lots of reasons to deter the illegal fireworks, definitely. So, but I think the fines are absolutely valid.
Yeah, I mean, it gets into the whole the invasion of independence, I guess. Kind of, you suffer a little bit of it to make sure that the justification of it is greater. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
But I don't know, that there is also a fine line, because as a human being, you're supposed to abide by the law. But when is the law too much? $2,000 is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, yeah, absolutely. But again, I think it is a deterrent. I mean, let's face it. I mean, when there's laws and there's penalties, I mean, we're supposed to abide by them, like you said. And then when you knowingly break the law, you got to suffer the consequences. Like I said, we didn't know that we couldn't do fireworks. We got a citation. We're not crying about it. We got to go to court, and the judge is going to give basically assess what the fine's going to be.
They don't tell you there on the spot?
No, which was weird. I thought they would. So they
when
didn't.
You get a speeding ticket, it states on the back, right?
No, they'll send it to you in the mail. They'll let you know how much it's going to be. Like, you could post, X amount for your fine, or you could post bail and go to court, and so you have different options. Obviously, you haven't gotten a ticket, have you?
No, I have. I just thought about it. When you get a parking ticket.
Parking ticket, yeah. Those ones will tell you right there, yeah. I guess I don't know if this is similar, but it looked like it was on a similar form for the citation. So, I know we're talking about the 4th of July. We're talking about the celebration. One of the things that I thought about, which is I know something that we definitely don't, I guess, I think it's kind of a reflection of patriotism, but I don't know that we're necessarily reflecting our independence. It's so far removed, and I think we definitely don't really think about. I think more so with 4th of July than, I know Christmas, there's a lot of, good spirit. We're celebrating, Christ's birth. But, 4th of July, I know for us, it's kind of more an excuse to have a barbecue and have friends over and have a good time. I don't know that
and
we
blow
so
some
much
stuff up.
Yeah, and blow some stuff up. I mean, this was your first time celebrating it. So I mean, now that are you going to continue to do so? How do you feel about the whole celebrating in independence? I mean, what's your take on the day in general?
Well, to be honest with you, we didn't really think of the independence factor. We just thought of blowing up fireworks, which was a lot of fun. Afterwards, we went to Denny's, and
that's an American pastime right there.
Of course. After Denny's, we did the Pledge of Allegiance.
No kidding.
Yeah, we did the Pledge of Allegiance.
Uh-huh.
And we're all talking about like, hey, which way do you point if there's no flag? Because, you know, there was no flag at Denny's.
I don't know. Do you have the answer?
Yeah. You point towards City Hall.
No kidding.
Yeah, you point your body or whatever towards City Hall.
Okay.
Because there's a flag there.
Right.
And that's the proper way.
Oh, wow.
And we're, you know, my family is just obviously started off as a joke, but we did end up doing the Pledge of Allegiance, and we all pointed towards City Hall, so that was pretty cool.
Huh.
And my take on Independence Day, though, it's kind of it's a little bit. What do you call that? I'm on the wrong side because, you know, I'm very Mexican. I'm very proud of being Mexican. I was brought here to this country when I was very young, you know, so I know a lot of people argue, well, then why don't you go back to Mexico?
I would make that argument.
It's hard, you know, like my life is here.
Right.
I was brought here. My life is here. I can't really just leave my life and go back to Mexico.
Right.
But celebrating this past 4th of July gave me a different perspective, because every year I make the statement to my friends and siblings, you know, people's celebration has come down. People don't celebrate as hard as they used to.
Okay.
I remember there being a lot more fireworks before, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Well, that wasn't the case. The case was that I've never been outside for such a long time.
Okay, gotcha.
On 4th of July.
Uh-huh.
And I got to see my block full of people lighting fireworks. You know what I mean? So I don't know if there's patriotism behind it, but it was good to see that. It was really good to see that and see the community and, you know, see people not fighting each other, but kind of see who has the best fireworks.
Right.
The illegal ones always win.
Of course.
But it was nice to see that. You know, it was nice to see the community that is built behind the 4th of July.
Right.
As far as independence goes, I'm not sure how to answer your question. It's a pretty tough question.
Well, how do you feel as, you know, someone who is not, you know, born here? You know, your parents came here and brought you here. Obviously, it's for, I would say, for, I mean, not to be too cliche, but obviously probably a better way of life. I mean, Mexico, definitely I know there's not as much probably employment opportunities, you know, as far as I know. I mean, and I don't mean to isolate it to just Tijuana, because I know a lot of people that have been to Mexico, that's one of the few places they've been is Tijuana, not knowing, like, you know, Mexico City and a lot of other places that are just gorgeous and they're thriving cities, but especially like in northern parts of Mexico, I know there's a lot of well, I mean, there's poverty everywhere. I mean, let's face it, you can't really go for getting away from poverty. But have your parents talked to you about why they came here? What was it, for a better life, or kind of, can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. It was a combination of 3 different things. The first thing was I was dying.
Literally?
Yeah, literally, I was dying.
Okay.
The doctor told my parents, if you don't get him out of the country, he's going to die because of the smog.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was their main overall reason. You know, the second reason is my dad was a business owner in Mexico.
Okay.
And the corruption of the Mexican government, you know, took away all his money. So it was just,
oh my gosh,
you know, he kept fighting and fighting and fighting to build his business. And, you know, to no avail because taxes, you know, the corruption, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So that was the second reason. The third reason was obviously for, you know, the better life, you know, the American dream.
Okay.
Which I believe we're living it.
Yeah.
You know, we're living it. So in that perspective, once again, I appreciate the country. I love this country. You know, I just can't say I understand the whole Independence Day factor, you know, like, because I didn't grow up living that.
Right.
You know, I grew up living the Mexican independence.
Okay.
You know, everything I learned, I went to private school in Mexico and all, you know. Everything I learned was about Mexican independence. And then when I came here, it wasn't a culture shock because we moved to LA.
Right.
So all my friends were Mexican. You know, I spoke Spanish to everyone.
Right.
And, you know, I didn't really adapt the American independence.
Okay.
The fireworks were fun.
Right, of course. Now you said, I mean, you had a health condition and the smog, and you're coming to one of the places that's known for some of the worst smog, you know, in the world. It's not the worst, but it's one of the worst places. I mean, what part of Mexico were you coming from where the smog was so bad?
Oh, Mexico City.
Mexico City?
Yeah. I was born and raised in Mexico City. So,
okay.
you could imagine how much worse it was.
Wow.
You know, I was near asthmatic, and when we came over here, my lungs just completely kind of fixed themselves.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how much cleaner the air is here in LA.
That's amazing because, I mean, everybody complains about how bad the smog is here between the traffic, the manufacturing, the seaboard, you know, that we have, you know, the LA and the Long Beach ports that are bringing in, you know, tons of ships and stuff like that. Plus, we got, due to I know through the wind currents, we get a lot of the smog that's coming over from Japan and China and all the manufacturing that's going on there. So all that kind of accumulates to really bad air quality here. So that's, I mean, that's amazing to think that, you know, there are other parts of the country. Is there a lot of manufacturing in Mexico City?
Oh yeah. That's you know, the main part of Mexico where everything happens. You know, traffic is crazy, and it's not like they have a good policy implemented to take care of cars. I mean, they kind of do, but not really. You know, smog in Mexico City. I think it's the worst in the world, to be honest.
Oh wow.
I think.
I think like Hong Kong or Beijing, I know one of those large manufacturing places over in China, I know that they're like the worst. I mean, they're saying they don't ever get a clear day. I saw a report on it recently, but yeah, I know that's. I'm sure Mexico City is probably right up there though, according to what you say.
So what about you, man? I know you kind of have a different perspective on it as well, because you're half Mexican, half American,
right?
You know, how do you perceive the 4th of July? What comes to your mind?
Oh, I basically perceive it as a day to basically have a barbecue. Again, I really look at it as kind of that excuse. I do definitely have a sense of... I do have some pride as far as being an American. I love this country. I love the opportunities it has, the freedoms, the opportunities. But I don't love everything about it. But I mean, again, I think fundamentally what the country was based on, you know, equal opportunity, equal rights. In principle, those ideas are great, and a lot of them are very true. But I mean, there's a lot of racial inequality. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot. I mean, you talk about corrupt government in Mexico. I'm sure from what I've heard and what you tell me, I know it's probably a little bit worse there than it is here. But we definitely have a corrupt government here. Although I don't know of many governments that probably aren't corrupt, but yeah, I just look at it as an opportunity to celebrate. The only time, I'll be honest with you, the only time when I really get really patriotic, and it's not every time, but sometimes if I go to a ball game or if I go somewhere and the national anthem is sung, I'll definitely get a sense of pride. There's something about those lyrics, the beautiful song. I think when it's sung right, especially when you get a bunch of people standing there in unison, you get people, you know, singing or at least mouthing, you know, the lyrics to the song. That's really where I get more, I think, national pride than anywhere else. Again, I love this country. I don't want to leave and go somewhere else. But because of the freedoms we have, that's one of the things where I have the freedom to object and to criticize, you know, for wrongdoings of our country, our government, you know, our political system, whatever you want to call it. And it's not only, you know, the corruption here, it's the corruption, you know, worldwide, you know, our infiltration into, you know, third world countries, exploiting natural resources, you know, being involved, you know, in covert operations with governments and drug cartels and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's just a ton of stuff that definitely we're not meant to know about, because it's for the better of us, for the better of the country, that we don't know about these things, and it's what allows us our freedoms, apparently. But I think sometimes I think people should have the right to choose. I mean, if they want to know these things. And
have you felt the lowered patriotism over the years, or is that just me?
I don't know that I think I've sensed a lack of patriotism. I definitely think there is a frustration, but I think it's just as you get older, as you become more aware, as you become more worldly, you're open to talk to people about certain things. You kind of break down those barriers of being politically correct and what you can and cannot talk about. I think, you know, once we're able to have these dialogues, we're able to kind of sense where people are coming from and how they view, you know, America. I think there's definitely a lot of patriotism, but I look at it too as where we are. I mean, we're in LA, a major metropolitan area that's you know, it's just a melting pot of all different kinds of cultures. Like you said, I mean, you first came here it wasn't really much like leaving Mexico because I mean, other than the fact that the smog was a little bit better, you had, the neighborhood you lived in, you spoke Spanish, you went to private school. I mean, it wasn't too big of a cultural shock or a cultural change for you. And there's definitely you have little India, you have little Saigon, you have Chinatown, you have little Tokyo, you have all these different little niches and subgroups, these geographical areas where I think a lot of immigrants can settle in and get comfortable until they're ready to, I guess, assimilate into the American culture. But I think when you see other parts of the country, especially in the Midwest, I think, and I'm not saying this to be racist, but where you have a predominantly white, demographic, you're going to have a very strong sense of patriotism, and I think you get more of that in the South and the Midwest and more, very rural areas than you do urban areas where you do have a lot more of a mixed ethnicity, I guess.
For sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I think we were talking about this on the last show, but I've been to places where there's predominantly white people, and you could just sense the patriotism or the pride in their country, in this country, and once again, I see the opportunities, and I am proud of living here. I'm not saying I'm not. It's just it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different because, at the end of the day in the World Cup, I'm still going to cheer for Mexico.
Right.
If Mexico played the U.S., I'm still going to cheer for Mexico.
I hear you. I was definitely upset at the Mexico loss. I mean, I was definitely rooting for him because that is half of my heritage. My in-laws are from Mexico. My wife was born here, but I mean, she's very, true to her roots and her ethnicity. And so I definitely had a rooting interest in them, and I wanted them to win. I thought they had the game, and I think they just kind of ran out of gas towards the end a little bit. I know there was some shaky calls by the refs also, but Mexico and U.S. are both out of it now. Do you have any rooting interest in any of the teams left? Just because we're on the topic, I mean, might as well.
Yeah, might as well. You know what? Before we get into that, I just want to tell all the listeners out there for Emix Radio, no era penal. No era penal. I want to tear. Yes, tear. Yeah, my interest, for sure, I'm going for Brazil.
Brazil, home team.
Yeah. That's always been the case. I go for Mexico. If they get out, then I'll go for the U.S. If the U.S. gets out, then I go for Brazil.
Okay.
I definitely don't like Holland for obvious reasons.
Right.
I don't like Argentina.
You don't like the little genius? Messi, the little genius.
Hey, you know what? He's actually a really good player.
He's a phenomenal player. I think he's really good.
Player.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away the Argentinian mentality of being cocky.
I definitely get. I mean, I don't watch a lot of soccer, but I've seen not only this cup. I mean, I've noticed it in the past. I think they played Germany for the championship. 2 or 3, 4 cups ago, something like that. If I recall right. Yeah. I just remember that. I remember that game very distinctly, maybe because of the arrogance.
Yeah, and so I don't like that about Argentina. And who else is playing? So it's Holland, Argentina, Germany, and Brazil. I like Germany.
You like Germany?
They're a very good team.
They're a pretty solid team, yeah.
Yeah, last World Cup, they kind of tanked for some reason. I really don't know why. They were playing good the whole World Cup, and then towards the end, they kind of tanked.
Yeah.
I am upset at this World Cup. I'm upset at the referees. It hasn't just been for Mexico. It's been a lot of different games where the calls are just crap.
Right.
And it was interesting. It was actually kind of cool to be able to watch soccer games on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Okay, kind of getting back into that subject.
Yeah, we got sidetracked watching those games a little bit too, but definitely during the 4th of July, we really just kind of, the TV is really off. Everybody's just outside hanging out. Having beer and eating. We went with the traditional burgers and hot dogs and ribs. We went with the very, traditional American fanfare. Did you guys barbecue also, or did you cook? Did you do anything, or was it just fireworks?
Yeah, it was just the fireworks, and it was like very last minute. Like I said, I was at church helping.
Oh, okay.
And then, I got the box of fireworks, and I was just beyond excited because I had never gotten a box of fireworks. I think they're very expensive or something.
Fireworks are definitely expensive. Legal or illegal, it doesn't matter. They're definitely expensive.
yeah, so I had never gotten in a box before, so I was beyond excited. I rushed home. I was like, hey, we're and then right before that, I was helping out at church.
Right.
So it was like very late at night, so we didn't really plan anything out.
Okay.
And then went to Denny's.
That's cool.
Went to Denny's, yeah.
So was the family excited when you came home, or were they just kind of like, they were just like, okay, let's try this out?
No, they were excited.
Yeah.
They were definitely excited. My dad, he made a comment. He was all like, I don't really like lighting fireworks. And then it was funny because...
And then he ended up tying them all together,
yeah.
trying to make a big one.
It was very much like something from a cartoon or something. Like, I don't like lighting fireworks.
Right.
And you just see him doing all these crazy things. And like I said, we went to Denny's afterwards, and best 4th of July ever, man.
That's cool. That's definitely ours was definitely probably the worst. We've been doing it for so long. It'll be a memorable story. I mean, thank God nobody got hurt. Other than the tree, I mean, nothing else got hurt. So I mean, we really were fortunate that nothing worse happened. So it's. I'll show you a video of the burning tree a little bit later. Unfortunately, we won't be able to share it with our viewers. And I haven't checked. I've been wanting to check to see if it's on YouTube because, I mean, obviously all the neighbors are coming down once they see, this big tree lit on fire. And I haven't checked YouTube to see if anybody posted it yet. I'm sure somebody did, or at least to their Facebook, although I wouldn't be able to find it there. But I'm intrigued to see if it's on the net yet.
So the whole putting water on the garage door, was that like a known thing, or that just kind of like out of your head?
Well, to me that was obviously water deterrent for fire, and that was the closest part of the house that was to the tree, and I think once I saw one piece fall in there, trying to hose that off to make sure it doesn't catch, and then just hosing down the rest of that part of the roof of the garage, just to make sure if something does land down there, it's not gonna catch. But nowadays too, the way the shingles are on the rooftops, I mean, they're really meant to be, pretty fire resistant from stuff like that. But I didn't take it. My first reaction was just, to light it, and not to light it, to water it, to water it down.
The truth comes out, man.
Try to protect it. really just try to help the neighbors. Especially, if they're, we try to pound on the door. If they're not home, that was a neighborly thing. You got to try to help them, save their house or whatever. So again, everything turned out okay. We helped them clean up the next morning just because, we were out there and stuff. And so we just, neighborly thing to do. You got to help out your neighbors.
Yeah, man, that's very courageous, and that's, like you said, one of those stories that you're gonna be able to tell for a long, long time.
And even we came home and my older son, he's 3, and so he goes in and tells my mother-in-law, the tree was on fire and the firemen came and they saved the day. And so he's got this whole story all lined up, and he was all excited to tell it. And then my mother-in-law said, "Did something happen? What went on?" So of course, we told her the whole story and everything. But I've had other friends. They have a big block party every year, and they always have illegal fireworks and they have a good time. And but one thing I didn't know is that in the county of Los Angeles, so this is a little educational segment for all you viewers out there. Los Angeles County, the whole county, fireworks are illegal in the county of Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
The individual cities can decide if they're going to legalize fireworks to, for people to celebrate. So, and I guess what the sheriffs are telling us, best way to know is if there's a fireworks stand in your city, then you can buy them and you can light them within your city. But if not, if you got to go a city over or something like that, then they're not legal in your city. So that's the way it goes. So that was definitely a learning lesson for us too. We kind of found out what the rules and the standards and the laws are as far as legal fireworks.
What if you're given the fireworks?
Yeah, that I don't know. Like they said, like the sheriffs told us, which I think is the way to go. I don't think if you're doing legal fireworks in a city where they're illegal, I really don't think they're going to come and bust your chops about it. Again, if you have illegal stuff in an area, it's kind of, again, they said they kind of pick and choose their battles.
Yeah.
And especially where we were, within, a 360 viewing, we could see, at least a dozen, probably more, within the immediate area that were lighting off illegal fireworks. I mean, easily. So so again, I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to chase them down all night? I'm sure they've got better things to do. So they kind of pick and choose and look for the problem areas, and they go from there.
Yeah, for sure. Talking about the whole illegal fireworks, that's why my dad was saying that he didn't enjoy fireworks shows, because in Mexico they're all illegal fireworks.
Right, but they're legal there.
They're legal there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And he said, how many times he saw his friends kind of blow up their hands and lose fingers and burn themselves.
Right.
And so he had a bad image of what fireworks are. So he just he made that statement. So yeah, man, be careful.
Absolutely.
Careful, it's a dangerous thing. All right, so here's the next question regarding fireworks. Where is the best fireworks show that you've ever seen?
I don't really get out and go to watch too many fireworks shows. Like I said, we always do something close to home. We like, we're a pretty tight family. So we like using an excuse to gather together as a family. I mean, for me, just because I when I've had passes, I frequented there. Disneyland, to me, is just one of the best fireworks shows. I always enjoy it. I mean, as much money as it costs to get into the park, I mean, I think that's one of the things they spare no expense on. So, and I love that. To me, I will tell you, now that I think about it, the best fireworks show for me, it was at Disneyland. But it was, we took my oldest son, for his first birthday. So he's 1 year old. We took him to Disneyland for his first birthday. Most people would say, why you take him? They won't remember it, but who cares? I mean, they're going to remember it that day, and they'll have fun. They're not going to remember it in 10, 15, 20 years, but they enjoy the moment. And so we went and just watching those fireworks. The first time he ever saw fireworks. And just to see kind of his face and his reaction and all that, that was the best fireworks show for me ever. It was just to see that, because it is. I mean, I think we definitely become a little numb to it. We see it all the time. It loses the grand effect that it's intended for, and they're still impressive. I mean, don't get me wrong, we still get impressed, but when you see them for the first time, and I think that amazement to be able to experience that, you never get that back, and so that was a lot of fun, and I think that maybe that's part of the reason why I enjoy the Disneyland fireworks, because it kind of reminds me of that. So that's where pretty. Plus, they seem to always have like top notch ones. Now they got ones they blow up, they make shapes and faces and cool stuff like that. Yeah, go for it.
I was about to ask you, because I remember a long time ago I saw a firework show, and it blew up, and it had letters.
Letters.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And
I've never seen that.
Oh, you've never seen that?
No, I've never seen that, no.
Okay, I've never seen it again.
Okay.
So I keep wondering, am I imagining this?
Do you remember where you saw it?
No, I don't.
Oh.
I don't. That's the thing. So I was like, am I imagining this? But now you're saying that at Disneyland.
Yeah, so at Disneyland they have stuff where they blow up and they'll make shapes. It'll be like a star or, something like that. Or they actually have one, it's crazy. It blows up and it makes a smiley face. It's like an orange circle and like green eyes and a red smiley face. Like they get all those three different colors, and it's in the right, and it's not like, oh yeah, I guess it kind of looks like a face. I mean, it's blatantly obvious what it is. So I think that's great, and I'm sure in Japan and China, where they manufacture these things, I'm sure they have stuff that even goes way above and beyond that. They probably do have the stuff with the letters that you're referring to, but I've yet to see a show like that has the letters. I think that's great. So since you don't remember that, I mean, your best fireworks show you've seen?
You know what? I'm gonna have to go with Disneyland as well.
Yeah.
I was just at a Dodger game and they had a fireworks show. It was pretty impressive.
I think during the summer they do them like on Friday nights, I think.
It was a Friday night. Yeah.
And did you go down on the field and watch them?
Yeah, we did.
How cool is that?
It was really cool, man.
I do like that. I've done that a couple times and gone down on the field and watched the fireworks. There's nothing like it.
Unfortunately, we couldn't get into the field.
Okay.
I guess we were late or something.
Okay.
I'm not sure how that works.
Right.
But we were like in the bottom, like in the not the stands, in the seats all the way at the bottom.
Right. Yeah.
It was really cool, man.
Yeah. For me, being a baseball player and growing up, I mean, in basically in Dodger Stadium, and we go to a couple games every year. I mean, to be able to step foot on that field, knowing I'll never be able to get to play on it, but just being able to step on it, that is a great experience. And anybody, I think, who's played any kind of sports, if you get to step on a professional, be it basketball court or hockey rink or what have you, I mean, there's got to be just like nothing like it. It's an absolute thrill.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, definitely the fireworks show didn't compare to the Disney show. I think Disney really puts a lot of effort into the fireworks.
Oh yeah,
and it's a full show. It's not just fireworks.
They got the music and all that other stuff. Because we've watched those fireworks too from the downtown Disney or outside the park area. Sometimes we've gone because you don't want to go all the way into the park, but we want to watch the fireworks. And it's a great show. We have a lot of fun, but it's not like watching it actually in the park when you've got the music and everything else that goes along with it. It definitely adds to that entertainment value. And I think that's a lot of what the 4th of July is. People build up, they have all these venues now where, and I know at the Rose Bowl and all kinds of different areas where they have bands performing and they've got food and food trucks and fireworks and stuff like that. And so I don't know that we're going to do that. Probably, I think if we're not going to do fireworks, we're at least just going to get together and barbecue, maybe sit on the front lawn and watch everybody else do the fireworks around us for free. That's a free show. And again, they're close enough to where it's not really a big deal.
Right.
So we may just do that. But
did you feel like it was Saturday on Friday?
Well, yeah. I just had a crazy long weekend myself. Thursday I went out. I worked like a half day and went out and played golf with some buddies. It was all the way out in Riverside, so it was hot. We left the golf course in the late afternoon, and it was still 99 degrees.
Oh, geez.
So we're out in the heat played golf, and then we had drinking and eating all day on the 4th of July on Friday, and then having our firework incident, and then going the next morning and helping the neighbors clean up their yard and stuff. And then yesterday I helped my sister-in-law move. And so it was a very physically laboring weekend, and I am definitely exhausted. I started working this morning, and it's just, I don't know how I'm going to get through this day, man. I need another couple hours of sleep. So it was a rough one to be sure.
Yeah.
Were you busy with did you have any gigs, any corporate gigs or anything like that?
I had an event on Friday, but I'm basically just kind of handing off events now.
Oh, okay.
Just not really doing as much of the work.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're definitely living the American dream. Owning your own business, being able to be an entrepreneur and stuff like that. That's a, how do you, as far as, being taxed and all that, how do you feel, how does it feel to own your own? I've never had the desire. So, for you, what does it mean to be able to own your own business?
You know what? It's funny because it's a freedom thing.
Uh-huh.
You feel free. You make as much money as you want. And you,
maybe necessarily as much money as you want, but kind of with the limitations.
You have your goals.
Yeah.
If you want to reach them, then you're gonna work hard.
Right.
It's funny because there's a meme or there's a saying, maybe it's a quote that says, "I work 16 hours a day. I sacrifice 16 hours a day to avoid my 9 to 5."
Uh-huh.
And that's ironic, right?
Right, exactly.
A business owner works 16 hours. You're working more.
It's kind of a backwards mentality.
Yeah. But it makes perfect sense because you're working hard for a bigger goal.
Right.
When a 9 to 5, any 9 to 5, there's always going to be a limit. There's always going to be a limit.
To what you can achieve or how much you can earn. Good point, yeah.
Salaries are capped.
Right.
Even a CEO salary is capped.
Mm-hmm.
When you have your own business, there's no cap.
Right.
You make as much money as you want. Like, obviously, not right away.
Right.
If that's what you meant. But, if you have a goal, you want to achieve it, you work hard and you just make it happen. So,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love living here. I always ask myself that question, though. Would I be having the same opportunities? Would I have the same mentality if my parents hadn't come to the U.S.?
And what's your thought on that?
I think it's within a person.
Right.
I don't know that it's something that just happened because I was here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
I think a person has that capability. Obviously, the U.S. makes it a lot easier.
Right.
Right? But I think that if somebody wants to do the same in another country, even if it's a poor country, I think they would be able to if they wanted to.
Well, but a lot of it is opportunities too. I think. That's one of the great things about this country too. Is there's a ton of opportunity. Especially I know when I walk through, parts of downtown or just in and within the outskirts of the downtown area. When you see all these small little shops and boutiques that are half as wide as this building is here, and half as long. I mean, but they're finding a way to utilize that space to its maximum potential and be able to sell goods or crafts or whatever it is that they're selling out of there and be able to make a living and kind of own their own business. And I think that's great. I mean, especially when for some people that's the only opportunity. So I mean, I think that's definitely a great thing that people are capable of doing that. So there's a lot of of great things I think about America. I mean, I think people can always find something to complain about no matter where you are, what country, and what your situation is. I mean, even millionaires and billionaires, I'm sure, still have things that they complain about on a day-to-day. So I think it's just all perspective on how you look at things.
Yeah, granted, I'm not taking away the fact that the U.S. is an amazing country and there's tons of opportunity. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I'm just saying that, a person who's an entrepreneur might, have that same mentality and might make those opportunities elsewhere.
Right.
I'm sure you've seen cases where, really, really poor people come out of different countries that it's like, oh, wow, I can't believe you're here.
Right.
Where you're at. I can't think of an example right now, but, there's been some really poor people that it's like they make it to the top and they were poor. They were dirt poor in their country. So
right.
And that's what I mean, that drive to want to achieve something. If you have the drive, you can do it anywhere, not just here.
Well, again, I think I've got to disagree with you, because I think especially when you have oppressive governments or regimes or you have stuff like that, it's the opportunity. You can have as much drive as you want, but I mean, if the opportunity is just not there, or if that window, as brief as it may be open, or if that whatever metaphor you want to use, that window, that door, but that chance of opportunity, if you never get it, if a government is oppressive, or just the area, or be it a military militia or what have you. I mean, if that opportunity just never comes up, I don't care how ambitious you are. I mean, or, your ambition may push you into being, one of the greatest soldiers that, you've ever seen. But I mean, other than
you're limited to being a soldier. Yeah, I get that. And once again, I'm not taking away the U.S. and the fact that it brings so many opportunities. I'm not taking that away. I'm just saying you could make things happen elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Maybe not to the full potential that you could do it here in the U.S. Right. But if you have the drive, you could definitely make something happen. Mm-hmm. I've seen, well, this is in the movies, but I won't even mention it. So take that one back.
Real quick, as we're getting close to wrapping things up here, but as the whole opportunity thing, do you think that because there is so much opportunity, that America is a superpower, basically probably one of, depending on your perspective. But I think a lot of people would view us as one of the more powerful countries. Obviously, economically, it depends on how you look at it. I know we're struggling a little bit, but I definitely think that. Do you think that there is a sense of entitlement amongst Americans, and maybe because of that, you get a lot of people who don't feel like they have to work as hard? It's like, well, they have this kind of sense of entitlement to work or to great things without maybe necessarily having to work very hard for it. Would you agree with that? Do you think you see that mentality?
I see it all the time, man.
Yeah,
I see it all the time, and it's a sad thing. When you are looking at immigrants, especially illegal immigrants, that come and take the opportunities from U.S. citizens, mm-hmm. because the U.S. citizens decided not to take advantage of those opportunities.
Right.
When you see an illegal immigrant doing better than a U.S. citizen, it really makes you think, mm-hmm. like, what are you doing with yourself that you can't take on those scholarships, you can't take on the free school, so many different government programs that are built to get U.S. citizens ahead, mm-hmm. and they're not taking advantage of those.
Right.
It's a sad thing, and you see it time and time again.
Right.
It's something that's very, very alive today, and it's sad. And this is coming from an immigrant.
Right. Right.
I think there's an owner of a huge business. I won't say the name because I don't want to, be misquoted.
Right.
But it's a huge business, and I think it's here in the city of Downey. And the owner of the business started off as an illegal immigrant. Mm-hmm. And, you know, now he has chains of these, it's a restaurant.
Okay.
And it's like, if that person can do it, being an illegal immigrant,
Right.
what's stopping U.S. citizens? And it is that sense of entitlement that places that stop.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, I live here, so I could get everything for free, or you know, welfare is going to take care of me, or
Right.
you know, whatever, the system's going to take care of me. Like, well, why would you want to comfort yourself? Why would you want to stay stuck in one place being taken care of when you could drive to so much better just by taking advantage of the programs that the government has put in place for you?
Right.
It's a sad thing.
I agree. Definitely. Good point. Good point.
But all right, ladies and gentlemen, looks like our time is up. This is Emix Radio. Thank you so much for catching us. Make sure you catch us every single Monday right here on Emix Radio, emixla.com. This is my co-host, Jason Morales.
Thanks for watching.
Catch you guys next time.
All right.